Welcome to the Superstar Communicator podcast. My name is Susan Heaton-Wright, a leading impact, speaking and communications expert. My aim is to show you how to make an impact so you will be heard, listened to and respected for career success. Listen weekly to the podcast and go to our website, superstarcommunicator.com. Hello there everybody, this is Susan from Superstar Communicator. Thank you very much for tuning in today. Now, certainly in the United Kingdom, we have been in lockdown for 2 days. So hopefully everybody is working from home other than the very, very brave people who are on the front line, who are working for the NHS or support industries such as deliveries and pharmacists and people working in supermarkets. Do you know, it is a great opportunity to make an impact in a positive way because we are communicating remotely, and it almost equalizes small businesses and entrepreneurs with some big businesses. But I wanted to share with you some top tips really to think about remote working etiquette. If you are working with other people and you are communicating with other people virtually, because a number of people are forgetting this. I don't know if you've seen that utterly cringeworthy video of somebody in a conference call and one of the people left the call, took her mobile phone or her laptop with her and went to the loo. This was in full view of everybody else because you could see her doing this. Unbelievable and utterly cringeworthy. And why would somebody do that? And this is what the problem is, that people forget that as they are virtual, they are still seen and heard if the video is on. So I will leave that with you. So first of all, make sure that you find somewhere quiet that you can work. I know that you're working from home, but it might be that when you're doing calls, you find somewhere very quiet. Now, ironically, it could be in the bathroom or the loo, but please don't go to the loo while you're doing that. You could sit actually on the side of the bath or something like that, if it means to say that you're in a quiet, private place, particularly if calls have to be quiet and private. But take it no further. Try to avoid distractions. So if you've got the radio on while you're giving calls or on a call with other people, make sure that TVs are switched off, radio, even your phone, because that can be very distracting. Now, I understand that there are going to be people who have got children at home, and this is the time when you have to try and find somewhere private for those calls. Another thing to think about is your background. If you are on your phone and or on your laptop, think about the impression you're going to be giving to other people. If behind you there is a messy living room or in a kitchen with all the pots and pans ready to wash up, it's not going to give a very good impression. Yeah, I know that everybody knows that you're working from home, but you still need to show some semblance of organisation, let's say. I would feel concerned going into somebody's kitchen where there was lots of washing up to do that had piled up over a couple of days. And if you see that with somebody that you're working with, it does give a poor impression, no matter what you think. Some people think about having books behind them or something like that. It can actually be distracting, particularly if the other person is trying to see what the title of the books are. So just consider that. I would also recommend having a technical check every day, particularly before a webinar, if you're leading a webinar in particular. Now, as you know, I deliver webinars and online meetings, and I go on really, really early. I double check everything and, switch everything else off, so to make sure that I've got the biggest bandwidth available. Likewise, with the internet, it might be that you have to say to other people in the household, can you just go off the internet for a while, perhaps watch the television, listen to the radio while I'm on this call, to make sure that you've got enough bandwidth. Again, I say that you should switch everything off. Those phones and other things that can distract you are terrible things, because actually other people can sense, even if they can't see, that you are not fully engaged with the conversation. So really watch that. There is also, for remote calls, the etiquette of switching the video on or off. Now, up until now, I would always have it switched off before I started the call, because there was this thing, oh, should I switch it on? Are they going to get freaked by seeing me at 9 o'clock in the morning? But now I always have it switched on, because we know that this is the only way that we can see each other, because we can't see each other face to face. But I am swiftly moving on to etiquette, because, as I mentioned earlier on about the video of the woman going to the loo, we seem to forget the perspective that virtual means that we can do things that we would not do in real life. I am sure that you've already seen one or two things of people behaving on webinars or conference calls that would not happen if they were a meeting in real life. And I always equate this to somebody that's in a car and seems to forget that everybody around them can see them picking their nose. You know what I mean? So we have got to imagine that there are people around us, and we need to check our behaviour accordingly. One thing that's a really good thing to think about is if you have to leave a meeting, switch on mute and take off the video, just to make sure. But do both. Don't forget to mute as well, because if you are having to go and make a cup of coffee, or you're eating, that's happened with my husband, eating crisps and forgetting to mute. It's really off-putting for everybody else. But remember what I said before, if there are things that you might do in your own home, on your own, like scratching your armpits or something like that, remember that if you're on video, other people are going to see you. What are you going to wear? I'm making a point now of actually dressing up as though I'm going into the office or going to meet a client. So today I've got a pretty dress on, I've done my hair, I've got makeup on, and it makes me feel so much better. It is getting me focused. So often you have a conference call with other people, and one or two people are in their I don't know, gym gear. Well, we can't go to the gym now, but maybe they've been for a run, they look sweaty, their hair is scruffy, perhaps they need to shave, or they're still wearing their pajamas in the worst possible scenario. Even if you have a nice top that you're wearing or a shirt, it looks as though it's giving the impression, look, I'm here ready for work. Even though I know I'm in my own home, I'm here to work. And there's something, you get a switch in your mind. Your mindset does change. You do approach it as though it is a proper meeting. And I'll mention again, being aware of background noise. And everybody does understand that you are you're working from the office. But if, for example, you live very close to a busy road and you've got your windows open at that point, people are going to pick up on that. So just be aware of all that, because I want you to present the best version of yourself. And this is a really good way of you stepping up and showing the best version of yourself. Another thing to think about is that if the internet is slow, there can be slight pauses between when people speak, particularly if you're working with people overseas. I know that when I'm doing podcasts with interviewers over in the United States, there is a little bit of a lull. So take a moment before you jump in at the middle of a conversation, because it might be that there's just a little bit of a delay. Anyway, I will share some more about this. I have got 1 or 2 really interesting interviews coming up, so we might consider this as well. But thank you very much for listening, and I look forward to getting your feedback on this. Keep safe, keep well, don't go out unless you have to. Bye-bye. You have been listening to the Superstar Communicator podcast. Don't forget to subscribe and review the podcast on iTunes and on apps. Please contact us if you want to discuss any topic, could suggest a topic for us to include, or a guest who could come onto the podcast. Go to superstarcommunicator.com.